Hi everyone, welcome to the You Are the Magic Chat series. I'm your host Kylie James, and today we are talking with Terri Tonkin. Hi Terri, how are you?
I'm fantastic. Thanks, Kylie.
Oh, fantastic. Before we kick off, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we live and pay our respects to the elders past, present and emerging. We acknowledge that both Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people continue to live in spiritual and sacred relationships with this country. I'm really honoured to talk to Terri today. For our viewers, just to share a little bit about Terri. She's been married for 46 years. That's a huge, huge effort, which is fantastic. She has two adult boys, or adult men, as she explains them as, and five adorable grandchildren. But one of the reasons why Terri and I thought it would be great to chat is just the journey that she's been on, probably since her mid-30s, really. And it's when you actually started where Terri started going through medical-induced menopause because you had a hysterectomy at 33 and your ovaries removed at 35 due to endometriosis. And endometriosis, there's a lot more talk about it now, but probably at that point in time, there wasn't a lot of discussion happening around what it was and what it meant for women. And yes, it's becoming a lot more prevalent being discussed now, but it was not necessarily a conversation that was being had. So it'll be great to hear, a little bit about Terri's journey through that and how that's led her into her career and different opportunities in life. And now she's a multiple international best-selling author, a ghostwriter, a life coach. I'm sure there's many, many more things that we can add to that list. But one thing that I really loved that Terri sort of said is, I found my passion late in life, and yet all of my life experiences have made me who I am today. And I think that's just a really, really beautiful motto or philosophy to have in life, because, it sounds like you've been through lots, yet you're saying, hey, if I didn't go through it, I wouldn't be the person who I am. So Terri, do you want to talk a little bit more about your journey and, what that's meant, going through your midlife and where you are now?
Sure. Thank you very much. Yeah, the early 30s hysterectomy was not something that I had on the agenda. When I had my first son, I had to have a D&C at 6 weeks. When I had my second son, I had to have one on the delivery table. So I had a bit of a history there. And then into my early 30s, I was just, my periods were just getting heavier and heavier and heavier. And I basically collapsed at work one day, and it was through loss of blood. I was hemorrhaging, and off I went to the doctor. And originally they found that I had a huge ovarian, like a huge cyst, at the size of a grapefruit.
Wow.
So that happened at 31.
Yep.
Then they said, oh, you'll be right now. This will settle everything down. Well, 2 years later, almost to the day, here I was in hospital having a hysterectomy.
Yeah, wow.
This will fix all your problems. There won't be anything else. This will be all good. But because I was so young, they had left my ovaries. And 2 years later, almost to the day again, my son started to think I would just go to hospital for his birthday, because it seemed to happen around his birthday all the time. So years later, they'd done the laparoscopy thing, and they said, no, there's nothing there, there's nothing there. And I said, there is something there. There is definitely a problem. And he said, the only way I can do it, find out what it is to literally open you up again. And I went, get in there. I need to know.
Yeah.
My dad had been diagnosed with prostate cancer, and I said to the doctor, is there any evidence that hormonal cancer can be passed from father to daughter? They couldn't give me that guarantee. So I said, get in there, find it, because that's what I was worried about. And then, when they went to surgery, he'd said to my husband, oh, it'll take about half an hour, 45 minutes. And about 5 hours later, I came out.
Yeah.
Apparently it was just massive. It had attached, because I had no womb, it had attached to all of my organs.
Wow. So the cyst had or
no, the
endo had it.
endometriosis.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
he actually said to me when I come out, he said, I don't know how you were walking. I don't
Yeah,
know how you
wow.
were getting up. And that's what had actually taken me to the doctor at that time. I was at work. I was working in the bank
Yeah.
and serving a customer, and I literally slid down the bench onto the floor and curled up in the fetal position because of the pain.
Yeah.
And, it is so debilitating.
Yeah.
I
What
know.
did that?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, no, you keep going.
No, I was just going to say, young women that go through it, because it's one of those you can't see it,
Yes.
really understands it.
Yeah. I was just about to say it's a disease that no one's really talked about up until probably the last couple of years. And I guess, there's been a few, I guess, more prominent people that have started talking about it, and then it's got a bit more traction. And I think it's even recently received some funding in budgets and those sorts of things for more research and those sorts of things. But what how has it impacted your life? I guess, I mean, you were so young, but yet you were kind of in the, just about to hit the prime of your life as well. So
I was like I said, I'd probably had problems right through from when I'd started my period. My boys grew up knowing what women went through, which was a blessing because one of my sons did ballroom dancing, and his little partner went through hell. It's like, oh, it's all right, I'll take care of you. I know what's going on. So it made them very aware of what impact it had on me physically. Because then you get emotional with that because you can't be the mum that you want to be. You can't be the one you want to be. So it really impacted heavily, I guess, from probably about 5 or 6 years, from just before I was diagnosed with the cyst right through until afterwards. And then even, I guess, for a few years after that, because being so young, they said I had to go on hormone replacement, and I took myself off that. I couldn't tolerate it. So then, my moods were up and down and all over the place. So my poor boys and my poor husband had to live through that as well. So once we got through, I guess, the hormone replacement, and I just went, look, I'll just deal with it naturally. I still had symptoms, but it was much better than what I had been going through. So it impacted probably for a good, I'd say 20 years, actually.
Yeah, wow.
20 to 25 years.
Yeah.
Because the body's like, shouldn't be happening like this.
Yeah.
It was
there's something missing here. Yeah. So was it better once you had it all removed?
Oh, yes.
Or,
absolutely.
So there was a dramatic kind of difference, and it sort of, what happens, and I guess maybe this is a naive question, but what happens afterwards? Like, what happens with your hormone levels, and how do you feel? Like, is it an automatic, oh, I'm up, I'm going again, or is it,
no,
does it take time to,
look, I would go through stages where I had all the energy in the world. I went through quite a few years, probably a good 10 years, where I was as fit as, and then other times I've battled my weight. So I have my hormones checked pretty regularly anyway, because I also have a thyroid condition. So the doctor sort of monitors my hormones. And I've been very fortunate in that they haven't changed dramatically, where I've had to go on medication for testosterone, progesterone, estrogen. I haven't had to do that since I took my off HRT. So I'm very lucky in that respect.
What was there, from a natural sort of perspective and how you keep going, what are some tips that you can give to women that might be experiencing some of these symptoms, even mild sort of symptoms, in their
one of the things that
40s?
I found, it was it was from one of the health shops, and it was a sage tablet. Definitely helped with all the hot flushes and things like that. But it's really just keeping active actually helps. It because your body's fit, your body's using everything that it's got to keep moving. So when it's at my fittest, I didn't seem to have the symptoms as much. There, but you just go, oh. You know, when I wasn't exercising and watching what I was eating and keeping the fluids up and doing the things that we should do anyway. If I strayed, then I would have the repercussions.
So just looking after yourself, just in a general aspect, nothing special, no, magic pill or anything like that, or a, super shake or, all of those sorts of things. It's literally just eating healthy, doing your exercise, drinking your water that you need. So just really basic.
And looking after yourself, that self-care, other than your nutrition and your hydration, but that self-care and not being too hard on yourself, but looking after yourself, giving yourself those treats or little treatments, that's what your gig is. Make yourself feel good about yourself.
And I know just before we jumped on camera, we were talking about not trying to do it all. And I guess that's a form of self-care. And I think, if you're trying to do it all, your body will say, whoop, stop. And, I guess we as women are trying to do it all. We're trying to,
women's lib's got a lot to answer for in a lot of ways. You can have the career, you can have the home life, you can do this, you can do that, you can do it all. But we're not superhuman. We just aren't. As much as we'd like to think we are, we aren't. And schedule your time, but also schedule in some me time, whatever that may be. And I think, when I was really fit and really eating well and doing all the good things, I would have a planner and I would plan in my exercise. I would plan in my meal prep. I would plan in just going for a walk around the house, plan in getting up and walking away from the computer. It's amazing how long you can sit without getting up. And then you go to get up and go, oh, it's been a while.
I'm hearing you. I think, predominantly I sit in a desk job, and I know there's times where I'm like, when did you last stand up, Kylie? Come on, you need to
set the timer.
Absolutely. And I guess that's what all the, the watches and all of those sorts of things are really good for, because they do remind you to do all of that nowadays. So
But so once I worked through it, I've had lots of experiences. I've travelled. I'm living my passion now. So it does end.
And that's what I was about to ask. So what happened next? So, you were probably heading towards your midlife, your 40s by this time. And now we met probably 18 months ago because we were co-authors in a book. And, I've known you always as an author, but obviously you worked in a bank at one stage. So tell us the journey, the rest of the journey.
Look, when I left school, I actually joined the Women's Royal Australian Air Force.
Oh, wow.
I was in the Defence Forces, and that's where I met my husband, at the phone box. I've been in for 4 days.
Nice. You just knew.
So,
just
as you do. And I got out after about 3.5 years, and back in the day, and I'm talking quite some time ago, women, even if you were a serving member and you were married, you were an additional appendage to the man. You really didn't have a lot of clout. You were there to do a job, and that was it. Housing, I had no say in what house it was all in hubby's name. If he got posted, and because we were similar positioning, I could be left behind, but he'd get posted.
Okay.
I was fortunate that once I got married, I didn't have to discharge, whereas a few years earlier you had to. And I was out before we had the children, but maternity leave had come in. So it was a very different life.
Yeah.
But when I got out, I went back into retail and I worked in a hardware, truck and tractor spares.
Yeah.
Then I had the boys. Then I went and worked for the bank, and I was with the bank for about 14 years. Took a package from there, and I went and worked at a school in a program, a transition program funded by the federal government. And it was working with kids leaving school and helping them transition into further education, training or work. And I absolutely loved it. It was
nice. Yeah.
It was just
see
these kids blossom. They had no idea what they wanted to do, where they wanted to go, and to work with them, for 6 to 18 months and see them come out at the end with an apprenticeship and a full-time job, or, get them into something that they could feel that they were contributing back to community. So that was an amazing job. And then after that, I actually went and worked for the federal government in the department that funded the programs. And in the new apprenticeships area, the literacy language area, and then I went back into youth transitions. And I had almost 10 years in youth transitions. And then, sadly, the government of the day decided that we didn't need youth programs because they were all at school or in jobs. Funny that. And they moved me into childcare compliance, which was not my forte. Not my forte. So I actually asked for a redundancy package and I was granted one. So that environment had become quite toxic, and if anybody's been in public service, they know, they can relate to that. Ministers come and go, department heads come and go, and it's just constant change after constant change after constant change. It took about 18 months, and then I didn't want to people. I didn't want to people at all. And then I went back to study and I took on life coaching. So I did an 18-month course of life coaching, and in that time I'd started my business, Connect Within. My mum had to be placed into care, so I became her full-time carer. So I was working, studying, caring, doing the juggle thing, don't do too much. Then when I finished my studies, I spoke to my mentor and I said, I think it's time I wrote that book. And she said, why now? And I said, I've run out of excuses. I wasn't studying, I wasn't, my business was there, but my mum was my priority. And I thought, I can just pop in to see mum. So I wrote the first book back in 2018.
Wow. And that was called
My Time to Shine.
Nice. So it was solely written, it was just your story?
Just my memoir. Until that point, And then the next year, a publisher local to me asked me if I'd like to go into a book called Business Warriors. And I said, I don't know about business, And I said, can I use some of my coaching stuff? And she said, sure. So my chapter in that one's about perception, because if you're going into business and aren't prepared to open your eyes, look at different opportunities, look at things in a different way, consider the what ifs. Consider the, well, what if it does work? Other than what if it doesn't? You need to be able to change your perceptions.
It's a different mindset, absolutely.
And, sadly, Mum passed away in late 2019, and I just went, I just got to stop. And I took a few months off, and early 2020, February, my husband came me from work and says, I don't think I've got a job anymore. And I went, oh. He'd been made redundant. And actually, we'll take this as a blessing, because he was looking at retiring later in the year anyway. So this is fantastic. In order to book up all this beautiful travel. well, a month later, the world imploded.
The world changed. The world
The
changed.
whole world changed.
Yeah.
So we had to cancel all that beautiful travel.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, at the time, I didn't want to go back into coaching.
Yeah.
And then 2 more books came up. This is pretty good. And then in 21, 2 more books came up. And in late 21, I went, I could do ghostwriting. I could write for somebody else. I could write for free.
Yeah.
So I put it out to the universe. I joined a ghostwriting school in America.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And I did his free training, and he so impressed me. I just signed up on the spot. And I'm still with him. Still converse. You know, if you've got a question, I can just send him a message and he answers. So still doing that. And I put it out to the universe, and that was in the September, October. And I found my first first ghostwriting client on the 1st of November. So the universe was listening. So that was fantastic. One of the books that I'd done in 21, one of the other authors had said to me, I like your writing style. Will you come and write for my compilation? And I said, what's your compilation about? She said, domestic violence. And I said, look, I have been so blessed. I don't think I could do it with integrity. And she said, oh, but, what are your thoughts about it? And I went, no, just not me.
Yeah.
My first 2 ghostwriting clients were DV victims.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it was because I have been so blessed. I was able to write it as a story.
Yeah.
Without being triggered, without all the emotional trauma and drama that goes along. I mean, their stories are amazing.
Yeah.
But that's their stories.
Yeah.
Because it was too triggering for them to write it. So that was. And then 2022, I think I did 8 books.
Wow.
Did quite a few in 2022, and that's when we met up. And this year I've said no to 5 others last year. It was just, they were just, but fantastic. And I've already said no to 3 others. And that's just my personal choice.
Yeah.
Connections that I've made through those books, those compilation books. I've done some work since I took on ghostwriting. I've done some work for a lady in Oregon. I've written for a guy in Florida. I've been in a book. I've been published in a book out of Singapore. I've been published in a book out of Canada. We've published a book just recently called Get Published. There's 17 authors in that. There's 6 from Australia, 10 from USA and 1 from Canada.
Wow.
In that book, there's publishers, there's editors, there's formatters, there's graphic designers, book covers. And I'm the only ghostwriter in it. And through that, I've picked up work as well. So the connections through writing are just amazing.
Yeah, I have to say I love writing. I probably love writing more than speaking, but maybe not. I don't know. I kind of like speaking too, but I find writing really cathartic. When you're writing your own story and you see it in black and white, and then you can, you obviously have to zhuzh the words a bit and those sorts of things for it to make sense. And like you said, sometimes you have to take the emotion out of things to then, let it land on the page.
Yes.
How different is it writing your story versus being a ghostwriter writing somebody else's story?
I use a lot of my coaching skills.
Yeah.
I use a lot of conversation. And what we're now having a conversation, and that's how I get the information.
Yeah.
I have a conversation with my clients. I record it so that I can hear their voice, hear their tone. I get their language. I can use the words that they use.
Yeah.
So I'm writing in their voice. So when they get their work, they're reading their own story.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's different in that it's writing for me is therapeutic anyway, whether it's mine or somebody else's. That's my happy place.
Yeah.
By having those conversations, I get their emotions, I get their tone, I get their feel, and then I can relay that back to them.
Yeah. That's a real gift to give somebody too, is to take their story and present it back to them for them to read. It must be really quite an emotional process for them to go through.
It is. And
yeah,
my first client, she actually, because there were still some things outstanding for her, and I said to her, I need you to go to your solicitor. She's like, solicitor? I said, if there's anything hanging around your situation, you need to know whether you can, you can't, you can write it. So that goes back on them.
Yeah.
But she was still having some therapy. I said, please go to your therapist and ensure that we can do this. I don't want to trigger anything and undo, you know, all the work that is being done.
Yes.
So make sure that they're very comfortable and that they are in the space that they need to be as well.
Yeah. So it's a really safe zone, or a, supportive kind of environment. They've got the support that they need around them. Absolutely. For them to be able to share that story in the way that they can. Yeah.
So it is a very safe environment, and with the agreement that they have with me, there's a confidentiality clause. They tell me, I write it, it goes back to them. If they decide when they publish, they want to say, thank you very much, Terri Tonkin, for helping me get my story out, that's up to them. But I can't come on and say, hey, I'm ghostwriting this and I'm ghostwriting that. Look out for this book. That's the one of mine. I can't do any of that. That's part of the safe environment, is that their story is theirs. I write the manuscript and I'll hand it back to them, and then I will refer them on to publishers and editors. It's not my forte. If they decide at the end of the day they don't want to publish it, they've still got their story. Written.
And sometimes that's enough for people, is just to go through the process. They don't necessarily need to publish it, but it's to go through the process. And I guess it's like you said, it's therapeutic, or it's cathartic, or, you know, whatever the word is. But sometimes that's all a person needs.
And to know that their story can be told and heard. And I think that's one of the big things. They may have told their story and they've been calmed off, for want of a better term. Or, you know, told to move on. Time to let go. It's time to get past all of that. Put it in the past. Don't let that affect you. Well, it does affect them. To be able to come and share their story and get it out. And it's there for them, whichever they want to do with it after.
What an amazing gift to give somebody. I mean, I say that with all the women. To be honest, all the women that I talk to just have these incredible gifts, and they're all so different. But at the end of the day, they're all about empowering people to, you know, be the best person that they can be, which is just something that I absolutely love. And it's different because we all need something different so we can be the best person that we can be. What's
I was going to say it'd be pretty boring if we all had the same gifts.
I know. What's next for Terri? Like, you're obviously writing. Are you planning on writing your own book again? Or
I am actually.
And
I've started playing around. It'll just be me. I may do some more compilations. I've recently been asked by our local RSL to assist in the writing of a military history of our region.
Wow,
so
fantastic.
And I'm getting acknowledgement in that one. So there's no money changing hands at all as an ex personnel. That's me giving back. But they're giving full acknowledgement. So that's beautiful.
Oh, that's fantastic. So good. And you know, that's the big thing, I think, for me, when I talk to you, you're all about how can I help others? you know, through using your gifts, you know, whether that's writing or, you know, sometimes it's just having a chat, and, you know, lending an ear and those sorts of things. I think you've been wonderful with just even doing that, and some wisdom every now and then as well, which is fantastic. So so a book's on the way. I also know you've been doing lots of travel, so the travel got parked for a while because of the wonderful
the world implosion.
And the world changed a lot, exactly. But recently you've been to Tasmania. We were just talking about that, and you know, are you know, what's next in, you know, in your midlife? Because for me, midlife goes till, you know, 70 and beyond now. So what's next? And yeah, what's the journey going to look like? Or
I
is
think
it
it will
just
be more
making it up?
writing. There will always be writing, and then travel. Like this year, we are going up to Darwin in November. I have a conference to attend, but next year we'd like to get back overseas. I'd love to do the Christmas cruises on the European, you know.
Yeah.
Something on my wish list.
Absolutely.
And Canada, I'd love to go to Canada as well.
Yeah.
So definitely more travel.
Yeah, absolutely. What's one thing that you could, if you could share with women who are maybe at the start of their midlife, you know, someone like me, for example, you know, early to mid 40s, what's one piece of advice that you would give to us to help us travel through our midlife years that would make things just that little bit easier?
Just one thing?
Oh, you can name as many as you like. I just
think
didn't want
to. It's really don't be too hard on yourself.
Yeah.
Have some fun in life, and you're too old to try something new.
Yeah.
I ran my first half marathon at 54. I don't know. That's a midlife crisis to me. And that was in a fun run. What an oxymoron.
Yeah.
And
that's a mammoth effort.
And
a half marathon.
So,
oh my gosh.
But that was at 54. I wrote my first. I went back into study at 58. I wrote my first book at 60.
Yeah.
I'm still writing, and ghostwriting was another extension of an existing passion.
Yeah.
And that I only did that 18 months ago. So don't be too hard on yourself. Have fun, and it's never too old to try something different.
Yeah. And from the sounds of it, age is just a number. Just if you keep yourself.
If you think old, you will become old.
Yeah. Yep.
You know. So.
Yeah. No, I love that. I think it's a fantastic motto in life. And again, I go back to your earlier statement that all the experiences that you've had have made you the person that you are. So, you know, whether that be keep having fun, try new things, you're never too old, whatever it might be, you know, it's all experiences that you're having, and it makes you the person that you are.
Absolutely. You know, 46 years married hasn't been a straight path. Let me tell you. Downs and twists and turns and, you know, mountains and valleys and all of it. And I don't think I'd change any of it. I really don't. Those experiences, yes, they've made me who I am. And I believe that they've actually made me a better writer.
That's so good.
Those experiences.
It's looking for the learnings and you know, not just thinking that they're, you know, negative things all the time, that there is actually something that can come out of it and be really positive and have a positive impact on your life, but also somebody else's life as well.
Absolutely.
Look,
one of the mottos that I live by is everything happens for a reason. Good or bad. Learn from it, move on. Yeah,
absolutely. I love that. I absolutely love that. But thank you very much for the chat tonight. I I just, you know, from the moment I met you, it's just been so nice to talk and connect. And we've only met each other in person, I think, once, or
Nice.
twice actually
Nice.
now. Yes,
Yeah.
twice. But hopefully we will get to see each other very soon again when I'm up in Brisbane at some stage. And I'm really looking forward to reading your next book whenever that comes out, about you, because I think, you know, the journey that you've been on, and just, you know, the fact that you've just, it sounds like it's been seamless, but I'm sure it hasn't, but you've just navigated all the different challenges in
Yeah.
life, whether it be health or whether it be work, and whether it be financial as well, because in that is also financial considerations with, you know, redundancies and those sorts of things. It can kind of scare you a little bit when those sorts of when you're faced with that kind of stuff, is like, oh my gosh, what's the future going to look like? And I've got mortgages and I've got this, and it just adds an element of stress to people. And I think
it does, but if you also look at it as a blessing, because it gives you time to actually stop and breathe.
Yeah.
You know, when I've had 2 redundancies. I've had one from the bank and one from government.
Yeah.
It gave me space to just go, okay,
yeah,
where to from here?
yeah.
And, you know, it gives you that opportunity to really have a look at and reflect on what's happened, but have a look at what's possible going forward.
Yes. Yeah.
It can be a little bit scary, but it can also be a blessing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that possibility can be endless if you can open your mind up to it. Like, you know, it just really is. And you know, having people like yourself and you know, other positive people around you that can help you do that, I think is really, really key as well. That's one thing that we didn't touch on was, you know, who's in your tribe. And has that impacted you over your years, I guess? And has that changed over your years as you've navigated?
Yeah, look, my biggest rock is my hubby, obviously. Yeah. My parents were both very supportive. I've always had, I did a post the other day about mentoring, and I've got mentors. You know, I consider the guy in the Ghostwriter school my mentor. Don't talk to him very often. I've never met him. I know what he looks like. Never met him. Not likely to, but he's a mentor.
Yep.
I have Tony Robbins as a mentor because they follow his work, they follow his learnings.
Yeah.
I'll have a mentor, and, you know, we were talking about Christine before. I consider her to be a mentor as well, because she has assisted. I've been in 3 books with her now, and done some of her short courses. And I can give her a call and go, hey, I'm stuck. There's those sort of mentors. And then you can have those mentors that it's a really formal arrangement.
Yep.
You go to them for guidance, and you go for them for not necessarily instruction, but reassurance, I guess.
Yes.
There's a range of mentors, and as a coach, have a coach.
Yeah.
Coaches need coaching. And we all need a mentor, whether it's a formalized arrangement or a very loose, casual arrangement. Like I said, a follower of Tony Robbins, he's your mentor, whether you consider as a mentor or not. So I think having those sort of people around you, when I was running, I had my gym buddies and my running buddies, and even I used to travel to work on the train. I had my train buddies where I could just offload, you know. So just having good people around you that don't bring you down. They might challenge you, which is not a bad thing, because it gets you thinking. You've got people around you that are going, you can't do that. You shouldn't do that. Don't wake up to yourself. Time to get rid of them. Yeah,
absolutely. You know, I think I agree with you. You want people who challenge you, but you don't want people who, when you walk away, you just feel a bit empty, to be honest.
You don't want them draining you.
Yeah.
You don't want the energy drain. You want the energy up.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. How can people find more about you and what you do?
Okay, I do have a website. It's not quite,
Excellent.
because technology is not one of my things, but
Yeah.
I have a website and it's got some of my books on there. I will be updating.
Yeah.
And that is www.connectwithin.com.au. You can find Terri Tonkin on Facebook and on LinkedIn.
Yep.
And Connect Within does also have a business page as well on
Oh,
Facebook.
fantastic. Yep. And I'll pop them all in the notes as well, just so people can get
and my
them.
email, pop my email in there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you want to write a book, or even if you want to write it yourself, but want a little bit of a guidance on how to start, Terri is your person. I think, she's written lots of books now, but also gives really great guidance about just where to start, and how to start and how to share your story, because everyone's got a story. It's just, trying to find the little gold nuggets throughout, because we all have them. So, yeah.
Absolutely. At least one story. At least
Absolutely.
one.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much again. I really appreciate it. I love talking to you. Your story is inspirational, just from, your early, well, to be honest, when you started your career in the Navy, and where you are, you're now a ghostwriter. I mean, it's been a massive journey, but that health aspect all through the middle, wow. I'm glad more people are talking about it, because I guess when I put my HR hat on and I hear that it impacted you for 20 years, I think, okay, well, what can workplaces do around that? How can we support women through those sorts of things? Because, like you said, one day you can be up, the next day not so. And I'm glad the conversation is growing in this space, so we can, try and figure out how best to support women that are going through those sorts of life challenges, I guess. So
yes.
Yeah. So it's great. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. And to the audiences, to our listeners, thank you very much for listening. I'll be back with another episode very soon. But until then, remember, you are the magic. It's all within you. And have a great night. See you later. Bye.